That's an African proverb right there saying before you can climb a ladder, you must first learn to walk. It's good to have you join us on the conversation showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, that is TOS Television. And as always, we're reaching you live from Nigeria's federal capital city, Abuja. Before we bring you the big story for today, let's look at some developments across Africa. We begin from the African Union, where the AU, that's the African Union, and the United States Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa said they see a small window of opportunity to end fighting in Ethiopia as the United Nations warned that the risk of Ethiopia spiraling into a widening civil war is only too real. We move over to Sierra Leone, where the death toll from the Sierra Leone's fuel tanker explosion has risen to 115, a health ministry spokesperson said on Monday. Previously, the ministry said 99 people were killed with hundreds more injured in a blast when the tanker exploded following a collision in a suburb of Freetown on Friday. Classrooms in Maradi, southern Niger, made out of straw and wood, were engulfed in a blaze on Monday, killing at least 26 school children, the school governor said. Before we bring you the big story just now, please let's look at the updates, our COVID-19 updates from across Africa. It is the conversation showing on your digital first Pan-African news network. Please be a part of our social media community by following us across all our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at TOS TV Network. And of course, stay updated on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. Do not forget to also like and subscribe to our YouTube page. It's the big story, the crux of the conversation this morning, and we focus on P&ID, Nigeria's loss and lessons to be learned from Shady contract. And joining us in the studio this morning is Felix Benga Adetowubo, a public affairs analyst. You're welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us once more. The Process and Industrial Development Limited, as the P&ID, won a $9.6 billion judgment against Nigeria in a British court for a contract that collapsed because the Nigerian government, did not fulfill its end of the bargain. Now, what do you have to say of this development?
It's quite unfortunate that we're having such in our hands, and with the situation of things, for Nigeria to pay such a debt is something that is not good for our economy. Looking at the whole thing, it all started in 2010, and thinking that the government then and the leadership of a P&ID will have come up with an agreement that will have set Nigeria to another level. And if you look at it, we are to provide the gas for them, while they will also build the facility here in a Cross-River state, and we are going to supply them the needed gas. They are to take the liquid part of the lean gas, of the gas, then of the natural gas, while we will use the lean gas for our own benefit, which is
electricity.
For the electricity. But at the end of the day, something that looked from the beginning that is going to, is going to be a promising project that is going to set Nigeria in a very good light, it becomes what we are seeing today. And then in 2012, Nigerian government discovered that we can't go we can't move forward with this, and they just had to renege on the whole thing. And they came up and took us up that we had to pay them 6.6 billion in the first place, then 7% annually, to also be paid, which everything amounts to almost $10 billion that we are now facing today. But this is not good for us, because if we look at the intricacies, if we look at what goes around this whole project, we'll see that a whole lot of corruption now being discovered at the end of the day. From the part of Nigerian government, who are these people that even came up, that signed this contract? Because if you look at it, how will a contract be in our own jurisdiction, but if going by the arbitration, if there is any issue that it will arise in future, we have to go to London to the UK for the arbitration. It doesn't make sense to me. But we've already signed into this in the first place. Who are the people in charge of this? Who are those that, came up with some corrupt practices? And don't forget, in 2019, this was only made public around 2015. 2015, we started looking into it, and this is a project that has been an agreement that has been since 2010.
2010.
Yes, 2010. Then 2012. And that is what arbitration is. Arbitration is more of a closed-door thing.
Yes.
The public will not have the opportunity to scrutinize what this particular project is all about. And from 2015, people started looking into this. And 2019, this government discovered, when they came on board in 2015, after 6 months, they could not really go into, setting out or looking in depth, to the court judgment or to the judgment of the arbitration and the rest, until I think November. They started looking into this, and they see that we can't pay this huge amount of money. This money is much. Our GDP is how much? I'm paying like 2.5% of our GDP to something that was not done in the first place. So it really calls for concern, and I think that's what they've done. They've done a good job, but if you look into it again, there is still a lot of issues, and underlying issues concerning this project.
All right. The federal government, following this whole situation, has set aside 1.1 billion naira for setting up a task force that will scrutinize similar project contracts that are similar to the P&ID. Of course, because of the detrimental effects that we have on Nigeria as it were. So where do you think the task force should channel their energy towards, so we don't have this issue coming up again where we have some sort of an agreement where we'll still, be found wanting?
1.1 billion naira. We just bandit money in this country, figures in this country as if it's nothing. To be paid again to task force again.
To scrutinize.
To scrutinize. That's the word, to scrutinize. Yes. Well, to me, I feel where they should channel their energy is, looking into the corrupt practices. I love it when I read it this morning that they want to probe Jonathan's regime about this part. It's good. That's a very good thing, and that's what. Let there be transparency. Let us know what really goes into this, and one has to be vigilant. Equity does not favor the indolence; it favors the vigilant. There are some loopholes in that contract that was supposed to have leveraged on in the first place, but we refused. Number one, P&ID refused to build the facility, which was part of the agreement. Now, the facility you never built, how do you expect us to design or build our own pipeline that will go straight to that place? We're supposed to have leverage on all these things. And at the end of it, don't forget again, the issue of corruption was able to be gotten from this old deal when they discovered that some payments were made in US. And those that received this money, some government functionaries that received this money there, who were part of this project, where they got this money, in relation to P&ID. And I think that's where Nigeria wants to really leverage on right now. And I think they should look, like this task force that have been set up now, that's what they should really look up to. Look into that loophole very well. Those people that now, I think the matter now is now moving from UK now down to the US. And in fact, the issue of corruption in the first place will have allowed Nigeria to even gain judgment in the UK, because the issue of corruption alone, if it can be rightly established, the P&ID would not have gotten the money. Although the money has not been paid, we are still on the issues, but we still need to, make our institutions to be right. Thank God for what's happening in the US, and I think with the evidences and everything on ground in the US, this particular task force should look more into that and establish corruption, which to me has really been an underlying factor in this whole thing. That's where I feel they should channel their powers.
So you don't believe that corruption, transparency, accountability are factors that we should consider?
Yes, yes, that's the main thing. Then also this issue of this issue of monies that we just throw around. Don't forget what's still going on now about the state government and Malami and the federal government about the issue of what's it called now? The refund, the Paris Club refund. You know, they are trying to stop the federal government from paying. You know, federal government wants to deduct from their own account to pay Nedinwoko and the likes, like over 40 billion naira or more, you know. So we need to look into all this so that we don't just waste taxpayers' money on individuals who
when
are just taking
bigger
this
things to do,
you know, when we have bigger things to do, but we'll be serving individuals instead.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Felix, for joining us on the conversation this morning. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much to our viewers for staying tuned to the conversation. Don't forget you can be a part of our social media community. Follow us across all our social media platforms, that is at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And please like and subscribe to our YouTube so you do not miss out on our amazing content. Thank you again for joining us. I remain merciful, Ajinomo. Please stay safe and have a wonderful day.